If there is one thing that is coming out of Uber's lack of transparency, it's bad customer service. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. Bad service seems to be had all around because Uber and Lyft to some degree are so lacking on transparency. That's why most of us don't accept a hell of a lot of rides we pick. Now, in my market, they don't even tell you what the destination is. So that leads to me declining a hell of a lot of trips. And I wanted to run something by you because I had this happen to me. Now that I'm ending my drive for the day, and maybe it's happened to you as well. Just had a passenger get in the vehicle. Like I stated, I don't know where they're going until they get in the vehicle. Now, I make it clear I don't drive unless there's some type of earnings incentive, streak bonus, earnings guarantee, or surge pricing. Uber typically surges in my market during the rush hour period. So I picked up a passenger, $2.50 surge. Okay, not bad. Usually I can make a decent profit if the surge pricing is at least $2. This was $2.50. I drive to pick up the passenger. You know, I keep it very short. I don't drive more than 1 to 3 miles to pick up a passenger, even when it's surging. Now, I drive the mile or so to pick up the passenger. And the moment they get in the car, $2.50 surge, I swipe and the destination is another town 35, 40 miles away or so. Now, obviously, if I'd have knew where this passenger was going in the beginning, I would have never went to pick them up. I would have declined the trip from the start. So first of all, this is bad customer service to the passenger because I'm driving all the way to get them. They're ready to go. They've gotten in my vehicle. And they're ready to go to their destination. And I told the guy, I don't go down there. I don't take trips that far away because I got to drive back empty. Now, that's the first part of lack of transparency, being bad customer service, not knowing where the passenger is going to go when they get in your vehicle. The second half that leads to bad customer service from lack of transparency is the way they do the fares. Meaning, if I could actually do an accurate calculation, even though I don't want to drive 30 plus miles away and come back empty, if I could do an accurate calculation, if they gave you accurate figures to calculate your fares, some of those trips 30, 40 miles away may be worth it if the surge was enough. But because I don't know exactly how much I'm going to earn driving 30 miles at $2.50 surge, they don't give you any solid numbers where you can do an accurate calculation. So I don't want to take this trip not knowing if it pays 30 bucks, 50 bucks, 20 bucks. There's no way to know. So I just kicked the dude out of my car. Like, dude, I don't take this trip. I'm not going to drive over an hour one way damn near, hoping that this trip is profitable without knowing. So lack of transparency definitely leads to some passengers either taking forever to get a trip to go where they want to go or not having a driver do it at all. I kicked them straight out of the car. Now, there is a side note. Some folks are lucky enough to make side deals. Just give me 30, 40, 50 bucks in cash and I'll do the trip. I used to do that. I would tell the passengers, listen, I don't go to this destination because it's not profitable to take long trips with Uber or Lyft. Then you have some passengers, well, look, I'll give you an extra $20, $30 to make it worth your while. I used to do that. I don't do that as much anymore for the simple fact that I don't really trust Uber and Lyft passengers. If someone offers to give you 20, 30, whatever, they offer to give you cash money to sweeten the deal to make a trip worth it, unless you get that money up front, how do you know you're not going to get them to their destination and they just jump out of the car and don't pay you shit? And the only way to prevent that is to demand the money up front in cash, making it clear to the passenger, I don't trust your ass. I just don't want to get involved in all of that. I don't want to have to go through all of that. Like I stated, because Uber is so lacking in regards to transparency, It leads you to not give customers the service that they're expecting when you arrive. I don't know any way around this shit, because obviously Uber has its reasons why they are hiding transparency. We know the reason. If I don't tell you where passengers are going, there's a statistical probability that even if it's a location you don't want to go to, you may occasionally take some of those people there. They're playing the odds. They know the trip is a fucking ripoff, but maybe occasionally some of you folks may drive 5-10 miles to pick somebody up, which you should never fucking do. But some of you guys may drive a little bit of a distance to pick somebody up, get them in your car and just think, shit, this trip doesn't pay a damn thing. But since I've already wasted 5 or 10 miles driving to pick this person up, at least I can break even by completing the trip. Don't ever place yourself in a bullshit situation like that. You got to be more resistant, more resilient on how you pay attention to what your earnings are. Don't ever put yourself in some shit like that. As I stated all the time on many of my videos, I don't drive more than the average distance that a passenger's traveling. Most passengers in my market do not go more than 5 miles when they're in the car. So that is the maximum I would ever travel to pick somebody up. Generally, I don't travel more than between 0 and 2 miles to accept a trip. There's no way I'm going to generally drive 5 miles to pick somebody up. You just play, unless it's way up in the surging, $8, $9, $10 surge, then yeah, I'll drive 5 miles or more to pick somebody up. But if it's only surge price $2 or so, I'm not going to do it. For the simple fact, like I said, the transparency is so poor with Uber. Even though you're into $3 surge, you don't really know what that's going to pay you until the person get out of the vehicle. It's not like it's a multiplier, or it's not like you can get out a calculator and figure some numbers out. You don't know, because whatever you're earning in regards to base fare, if they start putting you in the surge market, they move the fucking base fare around. Used to be, if you're making $1 a mile, you would have a 1x, 2x. Okay, so you're in a 2x surge. Multiply the dollar times 2. It would be easy as hell. It used to be that way. Now, you don't know what the hell's going on behind the scenes. They're doing that because they don't want to pay you properly. So they can actually raise up the surge, lower your base fare, and entice you to do trips you normally wouldn't do when you're really not earning shit more than you used to earn. You just don't know. The transparency game is like, it's just non-existent. They don't tell you really anything that's going on. So because they're doing that, I do not engage in very long trips. I just don't fuck with it. I don't know. Only way I'm gonna take a long trip, like I stated, is if it is so far in the surge numbers that there's no denying it'll be profitable. $8, $9, $10 surge or something ridiculous like that. That most of us will openly state it never happens. I don't think I've seen a $10 surge other than on like fucking New Year's or something. You don't really see that in my market, at least, maybe in yours. Generally in my market, when it's really busy, when you're really lucky, you might see $4, $5 surge. But other than that, during rush hour, like when I was driving, $1 to maybe $3 surge is what you're working with. You're driving less than 5 miles, $2, $3 surge, you're generally going to make over $1 per trip. It's worth it at that point. But like I said, if you're taking somebody to a neighboring town 30, 40 miles away, and you're going to drive back empty, $1 a mile is not worth it. I mean, seriously, you're going to drive 30 miles for $30. Maybe some of you may do it, I don't know. But you got to drive the same trip back without a passenger, so you're driving twice as far. For me, that's not worth it. I don't want to spend, let's say for instance I did get a $30 trip or 30-mile trip for $30. So you got to drive 60 miles because you have to also drive back. That trip could be 90 minutes to 2 hours in my market for $30. 2 hours, so that's $15 minus fuel. It's not worth it. But like I said, if you're driving in a city for $1 per mile, then yeah, it's worth it. You're not that far away. There's other trips, all kinds of shit going on. But folks, let me know, how do you feel? Do you make any side deals with your customers. Obviously, long trips, Uber almost never pays enough to make the trip worthwhile. I avoid long trips like the fucking plague. I haven't seen a long trip that is profitable at base fare in several years. It's probably been 2 or 3 years because the fares of Uber have continued to drop and drop and drop. At base fare with no surge price, you're not in a streak bonus, you're not in an earnings guarantee, just at flat out base fare. It's probably been 2 or 3 years, in my opinion, since a long distance trip. Long distance being 15 miles or more. In my market, it's probably been about 3 years before that was a trip worth taking. But maybe your market is different. Nevertheless, do you make side deals with your customers? And if you do make a side deal, do you demand the money up front? Or do you trust the stranger that's in your vehicle that they're going to pay you after you do the trip? I used to. I don't do it anymore. Let your boy know in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.